from what we've talked about your past, maybe you could explain that, or maybe I should explain that in the early 1970s, as a child, you were caught in a very notorious bombing in Belfast and were buried under rubble. And I think, for me, you being pulled out of that rubble was almost a case of pulling yourself back together in some ways. Maybe like sounds ridiculous, but perhaps like a Lego set, in that everything had to be rearranged.
Yeah.
I think what's fascinating, I would imagine that experience, that trauma, it was discouraging. Obviously, it was, and you had to distract yourself away from the traumatic experience. And how you dealt with that was your distraction was to immerse yourself in fantasy, but then be able to come up with solutions to real difficult problems that people were having in business, which you've been able to help loads of businesses. My story is perhaps not as traumatic as that, but I remember when I was 5 years old, I was labelled with severe learning difficulties. The person who assessed me didn't believe in dyslexia. I was later diagnosed with dyslexia. I remember being discouraged, and my way of dealing with that discouragement, my distraction away from my discouragement, was to get everyone's attention. So I set about trying to get everyone to like me and appreciate me, and I've been doing that most of my life, and I'm pretty damn good at it. You know, give me a room full of people, I can get everyone's attention. But I think there's something much deeper going on, which I've seen in myself, but I've only seen what's beneath my own insecurities through really difficult circumstances. But I think I don't know whether you find this, because you also, not only have you worked with loads of business people, but you've also worked with lots of other famous, successful people.
Yeah.
Isn't that the same? Because I've heard Elon Musk talk about this in terms of loads of entrepreneurial people. Yeah. Their trauma has really been their, I don't know what you would call it. What would you call it? Their
almost the flashpoint, the explosion.
Everything happened out of the trauma.
It's a fuel.
Is that?
It's a fallout almost, isn't it? From something so traumatic. I guess it's either sink or swim. And
I think it shapes. I think it shapes how you see the world, and you see it differently. So with my trauma, surviving a terrorist bomb, so that had a physical impact, and it had a really severe mental impact. So I had 5 years where I couldn't really do school properly. I couldn't really engage with people properly. I couldn't sleep, and whenever I did go to sleep, I had massive nightmares. And that literally took me into a fantasy world. I ended up creating other worlds where I could be somebody. And, some of those nightmares really helped. They were terrifying at the time, but they literally spun out into fantasy worlds, and worlds where, I could be somebody, and I was Superman. I could do things that I couldn't do in the real world.
Do you